Hey there, I'm Thanos. EMBOAR is intended for listeners that have finished reading Worm and are passively familiar with Worm's many fanworks. Fanworks talked about during the show may be spoiled during discussion, and if you're going to listen anyway, ignoring this warning, you will be balanced. You've been warned.
Etch and Misha's Bad Opinions and Reviews, also known as EMBOAR, your premier worm fan fiction podcast. I'm Misha.
I'm Etch.
And today we are joined by the one, the only, the Sleeping Knight. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I just woke up about an hour ago. I haven't even showered yet, so you're getting me, like, raw.
You're one of those morning showerers, aren't you?
Yeah, if I don't shower in the morning, I'm just not awake for the rest of the day.
I'm a little weird. If I don't shower at night, I can't go to sleep. I feel my body feels very itchy and ugly and disgusting.
I'm not going to mention my personal habits because... Alright, so full disclosure for everyone listening. This is actually our second attempt recording this episode. So if, like, the timeline of, like, when we say things is a little weird... it's because we tried recording this once already, and then it turns out that all of our audio is garbage except for Misha's, because Misha is literally perfect.
Damn right I am.
So, thank you all for being patient.
I literally got a new mic just for this.
I mean, same, but...
Yeah, so did I. The Samsung Q2U is treating me very well. It's a good microphone.
I'm literally balancing a mic stand with a professional recording microphone on my leg, so it's right in front of me while I'm sitting down.
You have a condenser, right?
Yeah, I got a condenser, which means when I record, I have to record a mono, then copy the track, and then remix it into a stereo.
Yeah, because it captures 360 sound.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I used to have a condenser, but it was $30, so... You can guess the quality of that microphone by the price.
Potato.
Yep. Okay, so this is going to also be a little weird because me and Etch did just record another episode last night. So, Etch, what have you been reading?
Okay, I'm going to try not to say the same things that I will... Well, because the next episode is coming out after this one, because this is episode 2, but we recorded it before this one. So, I'm just going to try to... Oh God, this is so weird. I have been reading, let's see, what have I been reading? I'm just scrolling through Space Battles. I'm so bad at this. Why did we start this podcast? I've been reading It Starts With One. I just love that so much.
Oh, shit, yeah.
It Starts With One is that one super political fic by Discreet. Yeah, we mentioned it every single episode so far. It's Taylor, maybe. It's not really clear if it's Taylor. I mean, it's pretty clear, but, like, you know, for the sake of having your thread bumped on SB, it's not made clear so that people can discuss it back and forth. Someone with bug powers who is described as a girl is going around and, like, killing billionaires because of them letting the economy go to shit. And the fic is, like, mostly around dealing with the fallout. Like, it focuses on Aisha, who is in this organization run by Annette Hebert, and it talks about, like, spoilers, Alexandria is there, and it's really interesting because it's not just, like, a worm fic. It's not set on, like, Earth Bet. Alexandria is, like, hundreds of years old, and she founded the PRT in, like, the 1700s. Like... It's the way that parahumans are shown in this fic is so unique because it feels a lot more natural for the world.
It's definitely a fic that's more focused around intrigue. I think that's one of the big things that. Yeah,
I also think that
I wouldn't call it a superhero fic.
I think it's interesting because it introduces the AU elements in such a natural way Because where a lot of AU fics, they literally tell you right off the bat what's different and what's changed.
A lot of AU fics put a timeline as its first chapter.
Ooh, shout-outs to Betrayal.
Shout-outs to Betrayal. Love you, Chimera. You want to come on the show, please contact me. That's not a joke.
It isn't a joke. We've talked about this.
I love Betrayal, but yeah, it's like the way that it starts with one, introduces its AU elements is so natural and smooth. It just feels so much better. Like I don't think there's anything inherently bad about posting like just a summary for people who have trouble like understanding the cues.
I mean, part of it is also because a lot of readers will, if you have like wild alternate universe elements, wild elements that deviate from canon, they'll be like, wait, but that's wrong. Not realizing that, yes, that's the point. It's wrong. It's not following canon. It's not following established history. And you really should be patient and try to give the author the benefit of the doubt, Maybe they know what they're doing, and if it turns out they don't, then yeah, sure, then you can criticize it, whatever,
I mean, it's kind of a problem not just inherent to AUs, but I think sort of fan fiction in general, where because of the format that it's serialized fiction, you post one chapter, and then everyone reacts to that like that's the only thing that exists, and don't stop to consider, maybe this question will be answered in the next installment, and I should hold off sharing my opinions until it comes out.
That's why Wildbow has Q1A1, which is like, in response to questions, which is about like the lore of Worm, or will something come back, or like, why is something the way it is, Wildbow is like, I'm not going to answer that kind of question, because it can come up later, and it's my right to have that come up later, and not answer your question.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's a good policy, and I really should have adopted it when I was writing Potions of Parahumans, because people were like, how does it work if magic and superheroes are in the same universe? And I tried to answer, and they were like, but wait, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, oh no, I forgot to put a story that answers the questions. And it's just answers.
But you should still keep on writing that fic. I'm just saying.
You should, yeah.
You should.
One day.
One day.
I've also been reading Seer by Elf, which is one of those asylum fics, kind of.
It's a self-insert kind of. So he actually workshopped this idea with Elf quite a bit because I was really into it. The idea is that it's a self-insert, meaning the author basically writes themselves as that character in the fic, and the self-insert character is the twin sister of
twin
of
or slightly
Rex.
older. Oh, of
Twin.
Rex.
Of Rex. They're the twin of Rex Livesey, also known as Lisa's older brother, and I'm pretty sure Cassandra which is her code name in the asylum, triggers upon seeing her twin's dead body after he commits suicide, which, spoilers for Worm,
that happens.
Lisa's older brother commits suicide.
Yeah. Luckily we have
Reggie.
our good friend Thanos telling people who are listening that there are spoilers in this show.
Thank you, Thanos.
Thank you, Thanos.
Let's see.
Seer is one of few fics which are set in like a parahuman asylum. Like, there's Bird, which I read a long time ago, which is like about Taylor is in the parahuman asylum for a thinker power. That's actually a common trope, actually. I'm realizing this now.
Yeah, because thinkers are the ones that tend to go overboard. The other one I know of is where she gets Path to Victory and accidentally, lobotomizes someone when she wakes up.
Yeah, that's, I want to say that's Data Snake's fic? I don't know.
I don't remember the title.
I think
I'm gonna
the
Google
best Taylor in an asylum fic I have ever read has to be an imaggio of Crimson and Rust.
Rust and Crimson, yeah. I couldn't... I know I tried reading Imago, and there was something that I think it was a little too slow for me. I think that's what it was.
It was called Path to Sanity by Data Snake. Back to Imago and Rust and Crimson. That's one of my favorite Worm fics of all time because it is... Oh my god. I keep saying this every single episode.
It's so thick. Oh, it's so... You can just bite into it. It's so thick. And also, it's another fic where the AU elements are introduced very slowly. Which is why I really like it. I I really wish it would continue, but I go back and I reread the Asylum
that's
bits because
that's by Earth Scorpion, I want to say. It's
Earth Scorpion.
Same guy who does what's it called? That one Overlord fic where
Overlady or whatever.
Overlady, yeah.
I keep seeing it brought up.
They're so totally different that I can barely believe that they're like the same author, but EMBOAR of Rust and Crimson is so fascinating. Its world and the mysteries. I know it's like a crossover, but it really doesn't feel like one. It feels like borderline
it doesn't
original
feel
fiction.
like a crossover. Like I had no idea it was a crossover going in. I thought it was an alt power. It wasn't until I actually, to my mistake, started reading like the comments in the thread that I realized it was a crossover. But even then, it felt totally natural. Like I think a lot of crossovers is that they tend to feel very haphazard. And this is something that I totally did as well when I was starting out. Like they're just kind of smashed together, or the only crossover aspect is that Taylor has this power, but it's very clear that it doesn't fit in Worm.
Mm-hmm. Or they don't try to blend like themes or like things from the other IP and exclusively set it into Worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that Potions and Parahumans is taking so long to come out is because I'm trying to be so delicate.
It's a genuine fusion.
Those two worlds.
That's awesome.
I think we get so few fusions in Worm fandom.
Yeah, I've written 2.
I mean, we just need to play a polymerization, and that will fuse the 2 stories.
But
neither you played Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh my lord!
No, I did play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Lord,
but the thing is,
I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
The thing is, memes, is that you've forgotten about my trap card, and then I bring out a spell card.
I play Pot of Greed.
Pot of Greed. That allows you to draw 2 new cards from your hand.
See, you know.
Someone
I just know the
made a
memes. I
video
don't.
recording every time that's said in the fucking show, and it's way too much.
I play Pot of Greed, which allows me to draw 2 additional cards from my deck to my hand.
TheSleepingKnight. Did you know that Pot of Greed allows you to draw 2 new cards?
The Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series is so fun. Like, anytime someone plays Pot of Greed, everyone goes, "What? But no one even knows what that card does."
Yukataz is very good. Anyways, welcome to EMBOAR, where we sometimes talk about Worm fan fiction.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe we should get back to
If this post gets 20k upvotes, EMBOAR is officially a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast.
Etch will have to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Just for this podcast. Anyways,
that's how it works.
In America.
I have been reading For's a Crowd, or I've been trying to chug through it. There are some things that I don't like. I think I made that clear on a couple of channels and just in on text discussions. But I think that the exploration of a cluster is very cool. I do have criticisms.
What is For's a Crowd? Because I don't actually know what it is.
For's a Crowd is a Worm fic, obviously, but it's specifically 4 people triggering as a cluster in Winslow. The 4 are Taylor, obviously, Greg Veter, Emma Barnes,
TSK, that noise,
and here's the kicker: the 4th person is a random Asian bad boys goon. It's just randomly just this other Asian guy, but it's very cool. I think the author really tried to do research on how cluster powers and mechanics mesh together in terms of, say, Weaver dice. I'm not gonna say Ward because I haven't read Ward and I don't know how clusters look like in Ward. But from what I've read of For's a Crowd, the power mechanics themselves mesh together pretty decently. A couple of criticisms I do have of it is that I don't think Kiss Kill syndrome works the way the fic portrays them as. I don't. There's just something about like the open adoration that Emma has gained for Greg Veter and Taylor that I find a little iffy in terms of just how that would manifest itself. And this is one of my biggest gripes with Wormfic in general, actually. I really don't like it when characters talk about their powers with full knowledge of PRT classifications.
Oh, yeah, that's... I think in general, Wormfic has a problem where writers tend to forget that they know things that their characters don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
there's
definitely guilty of this as
there's this one parody fic called what's it called? The first chapter of every worm fic. I think it's by Thinker6, the same guy who did the Slaughterhouse 9 Power Tailors. And it is so funny. She wakes up in the bed and she's like, when I woke up, I must be a Thinker 8 because I suddenly knew all of these PRT classifications, and it's certainly not because I read dozens of fanfics. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say like that detracts a lot from the fic because it doesn't. I think the action is pretty good. I think the relationship of the characters is at least decently explored to an extent that I don't gag at it. Staggering standards.
Wait, this fandom is such a high bar.
A fic with Greg, and you're not.
Okay, so here's the thing about
Shoutouts to Z Fighter.
No. Here's the thing about Greg. I do not understand the adoration that Space Battles has for Greg, and I do not understand B, the absolute vitriol some people have for Greg Veeder. Because do you know where Greg Veeder falls for me personally as a character? In the middle of bumfuck nowhere. I don't give a shit about Greg Veeder.
Here's the thing. I don't
a non-entity. I don't understand.
I don't hate Greg.
Why he's so
I
polarizing.
don't. It's kind of a meme to dislike him at this point. The thing about Greg is that he is just kind of your average internet weirdo, awkward person, and so how do I put this diplomatically? I think a lot of people
it's not, no. If you had to say that, that's not diplomatic.
I think a lot of people can relate to that because they've been that in their lives. I know I have been that kind of person in my life, or like I'm just sort of some weirdo on the internet and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I feel
like zero self-awareness, very edgy,
yeah. I wouldn't say I've been Greg Vader, but I know that I've felt like I've been Greg Vader before. Forgive my mispronunciation. I know it's bad. But the other thing is that I think a lot of people hate Greg for one reason. He inconvenienced Taylor, and as we all know, that is a capital crime in the worm
punishable
fandom.
by death.
Punishable by death.
Oh my god, I have to admit, I really enjoy. I haven't read this fic, but I'm going to purely because of the cluster trigger with Emma, because I really enjoy fics where Emma is actually a character and not like a collection of lines.
Give me my fucking Fremafix, guys. Come on, fandom.
I love Fremafix.
I don't know what that word means. I'm so
right.
So Fremafix is where Emma is either through some series of events or through an AU is Taylor's friend.
Essentially, it's I really like stories that take like the two characters and have Taylor's problems come from the nebulous anywhere else other than just Emma and Sophia and Madison. I think a fic that's not exactly, amazing literature, but I love it a lot, has to be Wonderful. Not to be confused with
what
Beautiful.
Is that?
Wonderful is a Wonderful 101 cross.
Oh my god, I totally remember that one. It's so good. I love that one.
I love because it's it's like undiluted optimism put through a bunch of characters. It's one of those fics. It's one of those fics where nothing bad happens. Essentially, it's one of those fics where the stakes are never too high.
I think Danny fucking dies. Don't. Maybe.
Oh yeah, he dies. He dies when the Slaughterhouse 9 first comes to Brockton Bay. That's like the one negative thing, or like the one like.
The stakes aren't too high. Danny fucking dies.
But the stakes aren't high because in that what Taylor's power is like very strong, very capable, but it's also all based around people working together. Haha, funny joke. I know.
That's a good one.
And it's just, I think Taylor is very Taylor in name only, though I can very much excuse it with the alternate universe elements and her whole changed history, all of that. It starts off at Leviathan, so it's a good starting point.
Yeah, I remember really liking it. It's got a lot of the same, because it's a crossover with Wonderful 101, which is a Wii U game of all things. It captures a lot of that colorful optimism that the game had really well, I feel. Yeah, I really liked it. Everyone go read Wonderful.
Looping back around to cluster triggers, one of the best fics that has cluster dynamics, in my opinion, has to be Trillium Waltz. I adore Trillium Waltz.
I really like the opening sentences to Trillium Waltz, and I really like the first couple of chapters. As it goes, I will admit that I've lost a little confidence in it, especially regarding that scene with Amy going with Taylor to Winslow. That lost me a little with the personality.
Yeah, that wasn't the best.
And it was a little iffy. It was a little weird. But Idiom does good work. Idiom's a solid writer.
For me, the draw of the fic was just Idiom. I feel like the Carol interlude. That's what really sold me on Trillium Waltz. It has the best Carol interlude I have ever seen in Wormfic, period. Where it does that thing where it's like, remember the oh my god, what's her name? Kated interview from Worm Proper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're reading that, and it's like, I sympathize with you, but you're also kind of like a horrible person. But at the same time, like, Wildo actually managed to make a character who's a terrible person. Wow. Absolutely horrible. I hate Kaden. Actually seems sympathetic.
Faceted characterization. Who could have thought that could be real?
But with Carol, like, I read that interlude, and I was like, oh my god, like, I still dislike the character for what she does, but now I completely understand, like, every decision she's made.
I mean, Carol's interlude in canon was also, like, I think is a great showcase of her character, and I think people look it over. But let's move on, because
it's 20 minutes in, and we haven't talked about you at all, The Sleeping Knight.
Of the essence.
I was hoping I could distract you guys.
Let's talk about our guest here today, The Sleeping Knight. Okay. TSK, tell us what you've written, or what you write, or what you wish you could have written, and what will you write?
That's a lot of questions.
It is a lot of questions.
Answer all of them or you die.
What I have written. I have written, I don't think I've written actually too many fics, but if I were to tell people, like, what the best of the best are, I would say probably slotting in at number 1 would be Typewriter, which is probably my longest fic so far. Certainly my most popular, for whatever measure of worth that is, which is about Lisa, there's only one change, in that Lisa is aware that she is in a story, and things kind of go from there. There's also, speaking of Fremifix, In the Blood, which has not received an update. It is only 1 chapter, but that won't be the case for long.
Hey. Ooh.
Yeah. Chapter 2 for In the Blood is written. I'm just working on it, refining it.
That's exciting.
There's also, what other fics of mine would I actually want people to read? Oh, actually, my snippet thread probably has a lot of stuff I'm very proud of, particularly Ghosts, which is another fic that features Lisa. And then there's The Letters We Never Wrote, which is, as far as I'm aware, the only poetry fic in the entire Worm Phantom.
I think Stabby Unicorn wrote one. But that's just
off the top of my head. Stabby. Love Stabby.
Did Stabby write
Stabby's amazing. Everyone read Stabby's fics.
I don't...
This isn't the Stabby episode.
That's the next one.
Really?
Yeah, it's already recorded.
Yes, I love Stabby. Stabby's amazing.
Okay, so let's talk about the first and the most famous / popular of TSK's fics. Then let's talk about Typewriter.
Typewriter.
I think I just heard TG off in the distance. Give me 1 second.
Screaming.
It's just no. You just hear the sounds of 1,000 crabs clicking their claws.
Muffled crab rave in the distance.
Yeah.
Typewriter is
it's a wonderful little piece of metafiction.
Metafictional piece of writing, in that I think TSK said, Lisa realizes she's in a story. And what's great about Typewriter is that even though did you intend it to be a one shot when you first started it, or did you have things like Ink Stains and A Story of You and In Memoriam planned for Typewriter?
Well, for a definition of planned, but
Like, did you always intend to write more after typewriter?
I had a lot of ideas for ways I could continue it. I just wasn't sure if I should try, because when ironically the first chapter of typewriter a lot of people actually really liked, and I was afraid that writing more would degrade the quality. But
yeah, no, it's just
after
the opposite
thinking about it for a while,
Yeah, but then
was
you
like,
you came out with ink stains.
yeah, I came up with ink stains because I was like, there is a story I want to tell, which is a typewriter is all about the relationship an author has with his or her work and the characters, and it's also about what stories are and what they mean to us and how they affect the world around us. And it's also typewriter is also a way that I kind of experiment. It's a highly experimental fic. Like when I wrote ink stains, I was like, the trick for that one was I went to experiment with weaving all different like forms of like point of view. So I have first person and second person as different thought bubbles, but the majority of it's written in third person. And then for story of view, it's entirely in second person, which was really fun to write. And then for In Memoriam, the story can be written in both directions.
Yes, In Memoriam, that's one of the things when that first came out, that's something I noticed. You can't, it's not like, I don't think you plan for people to read it backwards line by line, but rather section by section.
Yeah.
No, section by section, not line by line. But yeah.
Letter by
line. It doesn't really. No, line by line doesn't work. But yeah, like if you can read it in reverse, section by section, like going from the bottom to the top, and it's still coherent as a story.
It still works as a story, which is it's very cool.
It's a lot more tragic going backwards than forwards because like you already know. In Memoriam is so good.
I do think In Memoriam is the one where like A Story of You and In Memoriam are probably the two chapters I am proudest of. In Memoriam, I wrote that chapter in a single day.
Pride, we can't have that in this fandom. What's wrong?
This is like the one thing I'm proud of it. Yeah, I wrote that in a single day at lunch period in a blur of activity. But yeah,
did you
when
always,
I was writing it,
did you always know that the
character
of the bartender was going to be who he was revealed to be? Like
no,
when you first introduced
I didn't.
him?
I knew the bartender had to be someone important to Lisa, but I didn't know who. Originally, the bartender was going to be Danny, but I thought, no, that just doesn't work right.
No, that doesn't work
for
right.
like the themes of the character. And then when I thought about who the bartender should be, I realized, oh my god, I know who it has to be. It has to be Reggie, because it works in that Reggie is a character who is, for the most part, unwritten.
Yeah, we have no idea what he was actually like. We don't even know why he actually committed suicide.
Yeah, and so erasing his character entirely and remaking him into something else just worked, because what was he in the first place?
Yeah.
And then I thought, but I didn't want to I was like, I want this to be a reveal, but I don't want to write an entire chapter where I can't mention this dude's name, because that will just be a nightmare. And then I had the idea, I'll just start at the end.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it totally works for me. I left a comment, like, I literally out loud when I first read it, and I saw the ending, I was like, no. And I was like gasping audibly. Oh my god.
I think I saw it before the end. I'm just trying to figure out where I saw it before the end.
When he mentioned that he had a sister, I think that was when it was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's what it was. Do I have a sister? I think I had a sister, younger, older. What was her name? Do I have a sister? I don't know. I don't remember anymore. And that's when I was like, I have an inkling. Yeah. I have an inkling of who
ideally,
this might be.
People figure it out in the second segment right before the last line. Like, the thing with reveals is that the audience should figure it out like just a little before the characters do.
Yeah, that's what makes reveals like fun. It's what you get a sense of satisfaction out of it when you get it before the characters do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not 2 before.
On the subject of responses to typewriter, because while I feel like mine was pretty strong, no response to any fic is as strong as Tiny Gladiator's series of reviews for typewriter.
You were going there, so I'm looking. Okay, I found it.
They are, oh my god, each one is like 30,000 words, right?
Okay, yeah, so TG's reviews are
Yes.
longer than the fic itself. Like, going away.
Yes, because Tiny Gladiator is
An absolute
a
mad
madman.
genius.
He's a mad
He-
man.
I'm convinced that he's an eldritch abomination that just happened to like humans and took a liking to me in particular. That's the only explanation I have for how
You will be
incredible he
blessed
is.
upon your death.
Like, at my funeral...
I found my response to TG's first review. I have gazed into the abyss, and by God, did I fucking blink first.
Jeff pointed out that if you read parts of the review,
He has a cheat sheet. He has a cheat sheet for the actual story that is in the
because
typewriter review.
there is a story buried under the piles and piles of memes and dreams and obscure tangerines, and it's there is
Reading them, it's literally like taking drugs, but it's a pleasant trip.
Hey, I've had many pleasant trips on drugs, but that's a different podcast, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, Tiny Gladiator, his review of the first chapter of Typewriter literally warmed my heart. It was so like earnest. I never had a review like that for something I wrote before, and we became really good friends after that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, right now I am working on a little something for Meta. So
Oh my
we
God,
can all
really?
look forward to that.
Yeah, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's not going to be 30,000 words, I'm pretty sure.
No, I can't. I don't have the time to write 30,000 words anymore. I have a math exam due tomorrow that I haven't studied for at all.
School is school's for nerds. That's my only response.
Shut up.
yeah, you've also written a few other fics.
Yes.
TSK. You mentioned Ghosts briefly earlier, which is an excellent one shot. Post GM, which is
The full name is The
found
Ghost
that I
We
really
Made.
like. I really like writing one shots. As I continue with writing, I found that I like writing shorter stories because they're more concise and I can get to the parts I actually want to write faster. And yeah, I think Ghosts is definitely one of my favorite things I've written.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Ghost is it's long. How long is Ghost? Let me check.
It's what, 3,000 words? That's not long.
Why do I feel like I remember it being longer for some reason.
because it's just that immersive.
It's definitely one of those like it's a downer. I'm gonna come out and say it. It's a bit of a downer when you go through it, and but it's also well written. It pulls at the emotional heartstrings very well. It hits emotion very well, and it's just a nicely put together package.
I mean, a lot of my fics tend to be on the sadder side, and probably that's just because who I am as a person and my writing tends to reflect that. But Ghosts was two things. It was partly a response to other post-GM fics that I felt like failed to capture Taylor correctly. Because a lot of post-GM fics tend to... They write Taylor, but they don't write, post GM Taylor.
They write Skitter.
They write Warlord Skitter, and that's fine. You can just then write Warlord Skitter, but post GM Taylor is in a very different place as a character, and I was just kind of annoyed. So I started writing Ghosts. But the other response to Ghosts was me kind of asking the question of, can Taylor stop? And this is a personal thing. Like, other people can have totally different interpretations.
I have a totally different interpretation. Just to put that out there.
I know you do, and it's totally valid. Just personally, I don't think that Taylor can stop wanting to be a cape. Not after everything she's been through.
I mean, I think the one line where you take the most, where you take a lot of that opinion, I want to say, is from Spec, where she goes, "I will never do anything half as important as what I've already done."
Yeah, that was the line that inspired Ghost in its entirety.
Oh,
that
wow.
singular line.
I mean, it's a powerful statement. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're 18 years old and you're having the midlife crisis already.
Yeah, it's like, I thought, like, Taylor, like, how do you go from being where you were to being human again? It's sort of like another big thing that inspired it, and like I lead into it with this quote, Tolkien about that final little speech by Frodo. How do you pick up the threads of an old life?
I was just gonna say, I have never actually read or watched Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God! Leave my life
No,
away
just
from me.
I've read the first
my
one
God.
and that's it. I've read the first one and that's it.
No.
Oh my God! It is good literature. God damn it!
Here's what even worse. I own all 4 books. I own The Hobbit. I own The Two Towers. I own every single book. I picked them up at a used bookstore once upon a time, and I was like, I'm gonna read Tolkien because everyone has read Lord of the Rings, and they tell me that is literally the starting point of what we know as high fantasy. And then I got halfway through The Hobbit, and I was like, I feel like I'm reading Jane Eyre, and I put it down.
The Hobbit's cool. I
know it's Super Saiyan.
I was never into The Hobbit. I couldn't get into The Hobbit.
I read it when I was younger, so it's like it was for me like a children's book.
I'm now waiting. Like, once this episode goes live, we're gonna
up.
get so much flack for this. People be like, "What do you mean?"
I am furious right now. You have to read Tolkien.
What do you mean you've never read Tolkien? Next thing you're gonna tell me is that you've never watched classical Star Trek. And guess what, boys and girls? I never watched classical Star Trek.
Okay, fun story. I never watched the prequel movies of Star Wars. I've never seen them. And
what?
Here's the thing.
What the fuck?
I really, really wanted to see them, but one time I was watching The Phantom Menace on the flat screen TV in my house. My mom walks in. She freaks the fuck out. Like, it was worse than if I was watching porn. Like, she was so like, how dare you watch this shit? So I turned it off.
The prequels are fun.
I watched the prequels while I was recovering from surgery.
I watched
I was
the
like,
prequels in the
10?
comfort of my living room.
I know, I was like 10, and I got I had some surgery. I think I got my tonsils removed, and that was the surgery. And they had me recover for like 4 to 5 days, and I had nothing to do. So my dad or someone found all the prequel DVDs and just put them on TV. Now, this was when I was very little, so I didn't actually watch Revenge of the Sith until I was a teenager, because when I first watched Revenge of the Sith, I was like, why are they just talking? This is fucking boring. So I fast forward all of it until the Battle of Mustafar.
Oh my God.
And I watched that on loop for like a day and a half, I want to say.
Okay, so the Battle of Mustafar is like really well choreographed. It's one of my favorite lightsaber duels in all of Star Wars, but I can't believe you skipped the rest of the film.
Duel of the Fates.
Anyway, we should probably get back to talking about wormfic.
Yeah, let's talk about wormfic you've written, like Shades of Purple and Green, which is
wait.
Yeah, Shades of Purple and Green.
Can we rehash a bit from the last recording?
Okay.
Did you guys know that TSK has written a self-insert?
Motherfucker.
Wait, which one?
Why do you have to bring that up?
What do you mean there's 2? There's 1, right?
Technically, there's 2. There's the reverse Korra SI, right? That counts.
Jesus, why?
That's not Worm. I don't care about that. That's not Worm.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Why would you just bring up my old shame like that?
That's what we do.
It wasn't bad. You just had no idea where to go with it, and then
it's
it
just
died.
because
totally.
I was looking at all the threads you've done, because that's spoiler alert. If you've agreed to do this podcast, I will look at everything you've ever written, or at least try to, at least on space battles. I was just looking down the threads you've made on space battles, and I just saw insanity is sanity when dealing with space battles, and I was like,
oh,
no.
I totally forgot that was the one. Okay.
I was like, no, this. What is this? So then I clicked on it.
It actually
You lost
read
all
that.
that's
years
you just like
and years and years ago. It was.
I mean, that's fine. I feel like it's fine to have written not the best things when you're younger, because guess what? You were younger. you're not a master writer. I mean, hell, I don't think any of us here are right now.
Right now, I'm the master podcast recorder.
I'm the master podcast recorder because I had the money to buy a microphone.
Yeah, that's the real trick.
Yeah.
I can sing. That's all I got.
But yeah, Insanity. I liked it a lot. I thought it was fun, even though it was really, really silly. It was very silly. You just got your friends together and
when dealing with remains. It's a reference to Psych the musical.
There's a Psych musical?
I'm not joking. That's where it came from. You can look it up. There's literally a bit where the coroner Woody has a song and he just goes, "Inanity is sanity when dealing with remains," and then he launches into all the different it's so weird, but that was that's where the title for the fic came from. And yeah, it was just like, hey, let's SI, but we're our online avatars and we have no idea what we're doing.
Oh, okay. There's another thing that
I thought that was really creative.
Yeah, there's another thing that caught my attention because this idea has been suggested on the Cauldron Discord, and I was like, oh my god, these guys just went ahead and fucking did it.
Yeah. It even though it kind of fell apart after 4 chapters, it was still really good because you did it. You did it, Reddit.
Yep. Okay, so now that we got that recycled bit out of the way, let's keep moving.
It's not recycled because the other one was tossed in the trash.
The last thing I want to talk about is the letters we wrote.
Not Take Two Graves?
Not about Shades of Purple and Green?
The letters we wrote.
Okay.
I want to talk about the letters we wrote because...
that's poetry, and it's really good.
It's poetry, and I want to bring that up because it is a fresh format, so to speak, on storytelling, and it's a fresh format, so to speak, in terms of just general fanfic, because I think this is something that a lot of people not struggle with, but they don't really realize until someone really says it, and that's fanfiction isn't a genre of writing. Fanfiction is a medium for writing. In a medium, you can have several different ways to write and several different ways to, tell your story. And I think it's very interesting and it's very awesome that TSK has taken poetry, even though personally, I'm not the biggest fan of poetry. I think a lot of it is pretentious. I think a lot of it is, I'm
gonna put gnomes on your lawn.
I mean, that's not to say there aren't poems I enjoy. I love Frost's Road Not Taken. I love Invictus.
Oh my god, that is such a basic pick.
It is such a basic pick because I've never really gotten into poetry. So I'm just this was a good poem, so I like it. Sue me, God.
Yeah, but I really respect that you attempted to go for the different format, the literal road not taken in the fandom. There's so few people who try to experiment with something beyond just prose. There's
Letters We Never Wrote. It was an attempt to tell a story entirely through metaphor and imagery, and I did have a format for each poem. Here, I actually have to bring it up because I'm slightly forgetting what that format was. But there was I did have a set way of developing each poem as. Oh my god, where is it? I'm looking at my own works right now. And
that works very well because I want that's the question I want to ask you is how did this come to be? Where did this come from? What inspired you to write a story this way?
Okay. So basically the first line of every poem is something that someone notices about each other, and then the last line is something they said to each other, and everything else is just, poetry stuff. But the idea with Letters We Never Wrote is that I wanted to write a ship fic for Smugbug, which is the fandom name for Taylor and Lisa, because I love that ship and I will stand it till I die. But I also didn't want to just do a your typical romance story. I wanted to do something unique, and I thought, hey, I bet no one's ever written a poetry fic before. And something I also did was that I wanted to experiment with formatting, So I literally like went around and I made shapes with my poems.
I heard that was very painful for you because with
Oh my god, yeah, I wanted to die when I was trying to format the one that's shaped like an umbrella.
Yep, within the letters we
That
never
actively
wrote.
made me want to kill myself.
There is I don't know if there's a stand. I think there's a stand. Yeah, this stanza. There's a stanza that's formatted to look like an umbrella, which is very unique because that you ever seen that before?
Yeah, bitch, take my umbrella.
Yeah, there's also one shaped like a keyhole that now looking at it doesn't look like a keyhole at all, but that's the best I could do. Yeah, and there is an actual story in here that you have to parse through the language to find, but yeah, I wanted to do something unique and different from the rest of the Worm fandom and explore, like you said, fan fiction can be in any medium. And I think one fic that I have to recommend that also does a very different way of telling a story is Discreet's The Girl in the Room.
The Girl in
Yes!
the Room.
I love that
Let's
one.
move on. Let's move on to the last section of the podcast. Recommendations and quick shills. The Girl in the Room. It is an interactive twine
journey.
game. Fun fact. It is.
Yes.
It's essentially a choose your own adventure, but realistically, there is only one way to get through it. And it incorporates.
I mean, the intricacies are different.
Yeah. But it also incorporates audio. It's not just a pure visual component anymore. It's not just purely a prose component anymore. There is audio inside. And nope, it's not a screamer. Trust me, I checked. I'm the biggest pussy in the world, and it didn't scare me. It's not scary, guys. Trust me.
It
is. Well,
this wonderful
it's not
canon
scary.
compliant take on Emma. No spoilers, of course.
Edge, the whole point is that you don't know who it is at first.
Fuck. Okay. Should we delete that? I don't even know if we should delete that.
No, we couldn't. What? We're doing
We
it
have to
live.
keep
Let's
that
do it.
in.
We're doing it live. All right.
Doing it live.
It's this wonderful canon compliant take on Emma during after I think it was 20.5 where Taylor is revealed herself.
After Chrysalis, aka the best arc of the entire story. And I will fight people on that.
And I think even knowing that it's Emma, it's still excellent.
Oh
no, it's still excellent, but I'm like, that is part of the intrigue. I feel like The Girl in the Room, that I don't even know if I can call it a fic. It's like, it's an experience.
It's a twine game, so yeah, it's an experience.
It puts you inside Emma's head so well that it is genuinely unnerving. I wouldn't say it's scary, but I would say that it is unsettling.
It's
and
also a little sad. Or rather, I feel like melancholy, not melancholy, but like just sadness in general was a big component in The Girl in the Room.
Yes, it's a wholly unique experience, and I can't recommend it enough. Like, I went through and I chose like every single option just because I wanted to see where it went. It's inspired me to try my own take on it, which I have been working on for a very long time.
I actually already made my take on it. Shout outs to the text adventure portion of 17, which is real, and I recorded a video of it because I doubt people want to play it after a while.
Oof.
Can we be 17?
Nope, I'm not at that chapter yet, so we can't.
Other Rec, Beautiful by our very own Misha, which is, as far as I'm aware, the only crossover in Worm fandom with a musical, and it's amazing.
Technically, I wrote the Hamilton one.
Oh yeah, last.
Yeah, but that's not a fic. That's not a fic, though.
It's just a straight up song.
Which is also great. Everyone should listen to that as well.
Yep, that is.
Another rec. For one of what is quite two great Lisa fics. If you're like me and you love Lisa, one is In Golden Armor by a very large bear, which has just beautiful characterization and has romance that isn't like creepy or weird. In Worm fic, who does that? But
only L.
It's a fantastic fic, and everyone should read it. It captures Lisa's character extraordinarily well.
It's also just cute.
It's also really cute.
And people who know me know
fic,
I'm a giant slut for cutesy shit like that. So.
The pitch for In Golden Armor is that Tattletale find someone who's just so wholesome and pure that there's no bad shit to dig up with her power. It's just great. And
It's very sweet. It makes you smile.
Yeah.
The other Lisa fic I have to recommend is Thanks for the Memories by our very own Lord and Savior, Baba Gaia. And it's a cyberpunk AU. There's only, as far as I can remember, only 2 chapters out.
I thought there was
but the prose and the idea is so fascinating that it is worth reading for that alone.
Let me check real quick.
Is
I thought it was 3 chapters, but I could be wrong.
Oh, is it 3 chapters?
It is 3 chapters.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, it is just. It's just so incredible. I say this a lot where I'm at a loss for words, but like, Thanks for the Memories is such a radical AU, and the prose is so brilliant that it's like
That's
it's
Gaia.
that's Gaia in general. Like, honestly, you should just read everything Gaia's written.
Especially Mission
Like-
Source caught on your web. That
Oh
is
my
the-
god, that's the
we
of
need
art.
an entire other episode to talk about that.
That's a separate episode. I feel
we
like.
literally will. We literally
Yeah,
will.
we will. Okay.
Wait, can we
any
talk
other
about
fictionals?
QED?
She doesn't mention a singular real tax form, so it's not a real tax fic, and that's my hot take on QED.
It's the Number Man one, right? The one that's entirely like
Quod erotica demonstrandum.
it's entirely metaphors.
Yep.
You can
For
tell by
what
the
we
title.
can't say.
It's a metaphor for Numberman's gigantic penis. And now that
I thought you were gonna just okay. I thought you were gonna say something about his calculator. You know.
now that we're gonna be demonetized forever. Not that we're
Hi,
Wait,
Audible.
one more rec.
Please, if you would like to give us a sponsorship opportunity, please contact us at www.emboarpodcast.com. That's not a real
That's not a
website.
real website.
Okay, one more rec. Life bends down.
Fuck. It wasn't Etch saying it, so we can't do the joke. Etch recommends it every episode, and Etch has not read Life Bends Down.
I didn't.
Wait,
I didn't.
what?
It's great.
I
It's
didn't.
so
I
funny.
didn't recommend it the first time.
We brought it up the first episode. We brought it up last night with Stabby. Now we're gonna bring it up again. Life Bends Down.
I have not read
Life
it.
bends down.
I feel bad.
For those who are unaware.
If Life Bends Down, okay. So another rec is if Life Bends Down is not quite your speed, which it wasn't for me. You know, I couldn't invest myself into the characters enough to keep reading it. I read a bit of it. If that's not quite your speed, try the other thing Perry's written, known as This Will Not Be Graded, also known as the
I thought you were
Memoirs
gonna
of
say
Mr.
fan
G.
service.
No one should ever recommend fan service. Anyone who ever does recommend fan service needs to go away.
So I'm going to recommend.
I'm going to recommend This Will Not Be Graded or The Memoirs of Mr. G because it is really funny. And if you just need a good laugh for an afternoon, it's right there. And it is
It's
fantastic.
probably one of the purest comedy fics in the fandom.
It is. What did someone on Toy Box put it as? I think they said something like, "Oh, this is literally just Perry self-inserting into Worm."
Wow.
And I was like,
Okay.
that's kind of accurate.
My
Shout
last
outs
and
to String
final
Theory's
rec.
Kitchen.
My last and final rec has to be Meta by Tiny Gladiator because it is just such a wonderful little story, and you have so much fun figuring
What's
out
that
the
sound?
metaphors.
It's Tiny Gladiator removing you from his friends list.
I was gonna say like, hey guys, did you hear that? I just hear like the sound of millions of crabs just
Screaming in
clacking their
agony.
claws.
Oh,
Yeah.
and with that, my work here is done.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think that about wraps us up. Does that wrap?
Yeah, thank you so much, TSK, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank
Not
you so
once,
much.
but twice because we fucked up the last time. You are a great guest. You are a great friend. You are a wonderful human being.
Real human being.
Real human
Oh, don't
being.
make me cry, you guys. Thank you so much for having me twice. It was just as fun both times.
One day.
Alrighty,
One day,
that's
if we make a Patreon and we get $1,000, we will release a shitty, really, really shitty version of this episode with horrible audio. But It exists.
Where we just kind of bitch about wormfic.
All right, that's it for us. Thank you very much for listening to EMBOAR. That is Etch and Misha's Bad Opinions and Reviews, your premier wormfic podcast. As always, I have been Misha.
I've been Etch.
And I've been The Sleeping Knight. Thank you very much.
That's your cue.
That's your cue. Thank you very much. Good night, good morning, good whatever time it is when you guys are listening to this.